I would say bright and early, but it is not freaking bright and early at all. I didn't have any class today, so I got to sleep way in. So, though this is meal number one, I've kind of been up floating around for a while. I already did my cardio, came back, just kind of chilled for a little bit, and prepared this whole little display. I couldn't help myself. I kind of ate a little bit of it before I even started the clip. But basic, I guess let's just break down what it is. So, 50 grams of protein worth of egg whites out of a carton. Like, it's cool doing the egg whites from like a dozen of eggs. You crack it, separate the yolk, whatever. I mean, I've probably gone through at least hundreds, probably thousands of separated yolks, but then you're just wasting them. It's like, what are you doing, So if you're just going for the egg whites, just buy it in a carton, right? Pour it into the pan, put the pan on a scale, weigh it out to make sure you get your 460 grams, right? You do the math. One serving, 5 grams of protein, and it's 46 grams. So if you want 50, you need 460 grams of the egg whites. It's not like this stuff is complicated math-wise, but you gotta make sure you track all this stuff on the scale. It's not like you can't get good results just kind of guessing stuff, but the scale, like actually well, for one thing, just tracking shit in general, but actually using the scale too, it's kind of the only way to be really consistent with this stuff. So I already plugged in all the macros of this little 50 grams worth of egg whites, plus a pre-chopped salad that I kind of mixed into it. And the point of that is not like, okay, I'm dieting, I need to eat my vegetables. It's really, plain egg whites are just so boring. Like, there's no texture. You just kind of feel like you're eating mush in a sense. So when I mix in, some chopped vegetables and then kind of turn it into sort of an omelet. So leave it in the pan, mix in all the, chopped salad, whatever, put 2 slices of pepper jack cheese on it. And once the whole thing's cooked through, flip it over on itself. Perfect. And then just cover it with some low-calorie Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, 8 grams of carbs worth. So now I need to plug in this cup of Carb Master milk. I would have gone for some Carb Master chocolate milk, but in the Kroger that I go to, it's always out of stock now. I guess I should have kept that to myself, because now you guys keep taking all the milk I like. But 1 serving of the Carb Master regular milk, or I guess it's basically skim, 3 grams of carbs and 11 grams of protein. Oh yeah, and then there's 6 things of fish oil in here, so that's going to add up to like 9 grams of fat. You got to count even your freaking little fish oil, man. That's fat, so you got to count that stuff. So I'll just overlay this. So once I eat all this, I'll be at 793 calories for the day. I guess technically I did eat a little bit. I got these little spicy, like pretzel chips, and I kind of had some of those before I went and did my cardio. But I still put it on the scale, weighed out the bag, had my snacks, and then weighed it out again to find out exactly how much I had. A lot of people, if you try to get in a deficit, if you just kind of constantly snacking, like if you grab a couple chips in the kitchen and you don't track it, maybe if you do that once a day, who cares? Negligible. But constantly just eating stuff without tracking it, it'll add up. I mean, you could think that you're in a freaking deficit, but you could be in a freaking total surplus, so no wonder you're not actually going to lose weight. So this is a pretty basic, well, not basic, but what I was trying to say was this is about right in terms of fitting the criteria of a dieting meal that I would want to eat, right? Mainly protein. I don't want to eat all my carbs at once. I do kind of want to time them around when I'm training, just because, I'm using carbs as fuel. But as a breakfast, this is kind of a go-to for me. It's 50 grams of protein, right? It's hitting the little protein check mark perfectly. And then, maybe it's like about 8 grams of carbs from the barbecue sauce, right? Like nothing. And then a little bit of fat from the cheese, but it still tastes pretty good. About 9 grams of fat there. Right? So I haven't really jumped into my carb stores that much at all. So once I finish this, I'll be pretty full for the next couple hours before I eat whatever I'm going to eat next. And that's really the idea of any meal that you're trying to eat when you're dieting, Like, I could have the same amount of calories worth of, like, let's just say, maybe an 8-ounce steak and then some cereal on the side. Like, I could still hit this 800 calorie mark. But all the calories from that cereal and just like the milk or whatever, just like normal kind of sweet foods with a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, like, it's not very filling. It's not really going to fill me up as much. I don't know if you have ever looked this sort of thing up, but there's basically a glycemic index, which is like a almost a grading scale per se on how quickly you can like break down and absorb carbs from different sources. So things like oatmeals, complex grains, like yams, stuff like that. Like that's what you typically call like a complex carb, right? So it's not just going to spike your blood sugar or anything. So when you have like a bowl of cereal, or no, what am I saying? Like a bowl of oatmeal, right? Or like yams, or these complex carbs that don't really just spike your blood sugar, they're going to keep you fuller for longer. So in a dieting context, oh god damn it, what the fuck? I got fucking barbecue sauce on my Hostile brand wear hoodie. So what the fuck was I even just saying? Yeah. So when you eat foods like that, like the oatmeal and the yams and stuff, it's gonna make you fuller for longer because it's not gonna give you like a huge up and down on your blood sugar. So in a dieting context, sure you could eat like I've got 200 carbs kind of allocated for the day for me to eat for this diet. I could get all those from just Skittles and ice cream, but it wouldn't make me feel full. So I'd be hungrier even though I'm, still eating the same amount of carbs because sure it would like spike my blood sugar. I'd feel good when I ate it, but then I'd be hungrier way sooner afterwards. So, basic premise, foods that make you feel full but don't have a lot of calories in them. So I'm just going to sit here and, scratch at this for a while. Watch another episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, and then we can fucking jump to meal number 2, which is probably going to be the pre-lift meal, just kind of by guessing based on what time it is now. But we'll see. We'll keep track of the macros too. All right, wait, let me slam the vitamins first. There we go. Now let's get to meal 2. All right, substantial time has passed. I meant to go fold my laundry and wash my sheets. Did not get done, but whatever. So, meal number 2. I've kind of been scratching at this for a while, but pound of ground beef, 1 slice of pepper jack cheese, 60 grams of low sugar barbecue sauce again, and then 5 grams of fat worth of kind of a buffalo hot sauce. So the ground beef, cook it on its own, and then, actually that kind of warrants some attention. It is a little bit of a process. So my go-to method, pan, pot. Honestly, I've been cooking the ground beef in a pot just because it makes it easier for me to stir it up, and I don't have to worry about it splashing outside the walls. But whatever, throw it in, kind of chop it up with your little spatula. Right, totally brown. But there's a ton of, sure, water as well, but all the fat that kind of seeped out of the meat is just floating around the bottom. In a dieting context, you kind of want to mitigate that part. I'm not eating the ground beef for the fat contents. Maybe a little bit just because the animal fats are going to be good for you, whatever. But I don't need that extra fat. So straight out of the pot, I'll just go outside of the back door, pour the whole thing into a little like metal strainer, right? Shake it around, have the shit fall out, and then pour it back in, add the sauce, the cheese, put it back on the stove a little bit, mix it up, and then it's solid. So that's about 80 grams of protein. I didn't have it all at once. Your body can handle a lot of protein at once, but I have been scratching at this for like the last hour. Well, not hour, but like maybe 30 minutes. And I'll probably keep chewing on it for a little bit longer. Right now, I don't need to just instantly down my meals like a maniac. You know, I'm not in a rush to hit my 2,500 calorie limit. I'm actually trying to go a snail's pace so I don't, overeat and then end up being hungry later at night. So it's not like, well, actually kind of snacking in general, if you're trying to diet down, is a little bit of a, I don't want to say it's good for you, just because you're kind of constantly like teasing yourself to eat more food. But if you kind of, prepare a meal, obviously you track everything in it, and you can make it last maybe, 20, 30 minutes. Maybe you eat it while you're doing your work or, something or another, instead of just like scarfing it down in 5 seconds, right? It's just going to be easier not to want to eat more food later on, if you kind of understand my logic. So, since this is pretty much the pre-workout meal, I'm going to lift in probably, I don't know, maybe hour and a half-ish. I want to be fully freaking hydrated. So this is about a liter or so worth of water. This is not the pre. This is just some Silo 9 amino acid and electrolyte mix. So when you see a dude walking around with his gallon jug, he's nearly got the right idea, right? He's close. But just drinking water on its own, you're not totally maximizing your hydration. I don't want to sound like a fucking, I sound like you're, oh, what's the fucking word I'm trying to think of? Oh, whatever. I sound like a fucking nutritionist. Like, you can't just drink your pure water for hydration, but I mean, whatever. So, electrolytes are seriously going to get you when it comes to, feeling hydrated, feeling good. I mean, really, there's no other way to say it than that. Like, right now, obviously, I'm not slamming my system full of carbs, so I'm not totally full. So if I don't drink a solid amount of water, plus, electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, so you get the gist, right? If I don't have a lot of that floating around in my system from either like, dedicated electrolyte packets, some kind of powdered stuff like this, then my lift is it's gonna kind of suffer, Like, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I'll have one of these, a liter and a half, just already made next to my bed. And that's the first thing I do when I get up. I just slam the whole thing because I know it's going to make me feel better for cardio and just, for the rest of the day too. And I'm not saying that for like an arbitrary reason, like, oh, it's good for you to be hydrated. Any advice and any kind of tips that I say or any kind of practice that I follow, it's pretty much not just for no reason. It's serving the purpose of like kind of trying to improve my training. So if I think I'm going to get, if I think I'm going to get a better pump from being fully hydrated and I'm going to have better lifts, then I'm going to stimulate my muscles better. They're going to grow more after I rest and recover. I think I'm going to try to make sure I get down I don't really make sure I hit like a gallon a day, but I don't know, at least a couple of liters for sure. So I'm going to keep scratching at this. I kind of took a nap earlier too. I'm still a little sluggish from that. I really need to wake up. But I'm sure once I get driving to the gym, plus the pre's in my system, then I'll be freaking wired for legs. I'm already getting kind of excited for those mid-quad squats. So let's just cut to getting the pre set up. Oh, wait, see, what's the current macros so far once I finish this meal? All right, so once I finish this, that'll put me at 1,436 calories. I'll have 100 grams of protein left and about 180 grams of carbs left for post-workout. That sounds about right. So let's cut to the pre-preparation. I tell you what, I've seen worse. I've seen worse. Right? This is a chore. This is not just a total a total hack job of a kitchen. But whatever. Whatever. Let's actually break down what's going on here. So, intra. That's kind of how it ends up lining up. Usually I'd have oh, it's kind of over there. Well, it's some clustered dextrin, like just pretty much really just powdered carbs, but since So in a bulking context, I'd want to be, pretty much slamming carbs all day long. But intra-workout especially, I kind of want, if I'm already going to be drinking like a liter, liter and a half of water, if I can get 75, 100 grams of carbs in there, then that's another 400 calories into my system that I don't even have to think about. But right now with, the maintaining a calorie deficit, there's no need to have a ton of freaking, carbs in my intra. So I'll just do some more of the blueberry lemonade Silo 9. Refill this from before. So in terms of the pre, I end up doing the same amount. Well, I might be inclined to do a little bit more of the hostility, right? The pre that actually has stims in it on a leg day, just because it's kind of a lengthier lift for me. Like, for me, chest and back, well, I guess I do side delts and rear delts with them now, but, chest and back isn't going to be so taxing on my whole system as a full-on leg day would. So usually, maybe instead of just one scoop of the hostility, I might be inclined to do more like 1.5. But then I'll still do 2 scoops of the bloodshot. So I kind of feel like I have to clear this up. I'll get comments that are asking, what's the point of the cut? Like what am I cutting for? Am I dieting for a show? If I'm not doing a show, then what's the point of dieting? Which, valid point, valid question. So let me kind of elaborate, even though I kind of said this, maybe 100 times before. So if you bulk hard, like actually fucking hard, you'll kind of get to a point where not only are you kind of going to be plateaued just in terms of your progress, but even just getting the food down. Like if you're eating in a legit surplus, like after a couple months, you'll get to a point, and I don't mean 2 months, I mean like, 4 months, 5, like that. You'll just get to a point where you kind of have to give yourself a little break from pushing all the food. And then, kind of couple that with the fact that your progress is probably plateaued. It just makes sense that you'd want to just reset yourself for the next bulk, right? So the way that my weight has been changing over the last about 2 years that I've been bulking and cutting is, this is baseline right here. So this is where I started, and this is where we are now. So bulk for a couple of months, cut for about 2 months, and this point right here is heavier than over here, right? I did a bulk for, 4 or 5 months, 3 months, something like that, 2-month cut, and I'm heavier at the end of that bulking and cut loop than I was in the beginning. And I've just kind of been repeating that climb, cut, climb, cut, climb, cut, like that. Now, in terms of main gaining, if you wanted to try to just do a steady line of growth, do whatever you want. I'm not necessarily saying, well, actually, I'm definitely not saying that that's like the best way to go about it. I'm just kind of saying that that's how I've been doing it for a while. I've got it all tracked in a spreadsheet. That looks pretty cool. I get a little bit lazy with it sometimes, but over the last 2 years, at least a couple of times a week, I'll plot my morning weight, and I can actually see that trend line over time. That's kind of just another benefit of tracking your stuff. If you do it for long enough, you get to kind of look back at the data, and like if you make a little spreadsheet of like a line graph, apart from the fact that it kind of just proves your progress, it's just kind of fun. So I'm going to add some water to these 2 things, then we can get in the car and get ready for legs. All right, so I'm a little bit torn right now. I'm trying to think about what gym I want to go to. So I've got basically 2 options. One is like 30 minutes away. It's already 8 o'clock. I don't want to go that far, but I've got the school rec, which is 2 minutes away. It has a leg extension, which is all right. It has a hamstring curl. It's got a hack squat. I'll be able to do my normal squats. But I kind of like the leg extension at the other gym. Yeah. No, okay, no, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it up. I've been going to the school rec center like every day this past week and a half. I want to change it up. So it's kind of nice having multiple gym memberships. Not only due to the fact that like you'll have access to more machines, because more likely than not, 2 different gyms are going to have two different sets of equipment. So, yeah, I think I'll go to the other one. Let's. I don't even want to sip on this. Let's just slam it before we get over there and discuss what's about to freaking go down. Ooh, sour. I probably should have added a little bit more water. But I did drink that whole, like, liter-ish of the Silo 9 electrolyte mix. So I feel very hydrated at the moment. So, plan for legs, reasonably similar to what I've been doing, honestly, this whole time. But I'll change it up just a touch. Or I've been changing it up just a touch. So rather, well, let's just break it down. So, gonna drive there, gonna park, gonna turn on some Yeet, then I'm gonna walk in, probably warm up my calves a little bit, just because before I do any leg curling, any hamstring work, if I don't warm up my calves, and it doesn't always happen, but sometimes the back of my knee, like the pit of my knee, I'll just get a little bit of tightness while I'm doing the leg curls. But if I do a little bit of calf warm up beforehand, I never really feel that. So I'll probably sit on the calf raise machine for, a couple of minutes, do a few sets, not working sets, but, normal weight, 5-ish reps, just get them warm, And then they have a laying leg curl, but I don't really love it. It's kind of grungy. It's like an old Nautilus one, but it needs to be upkept. It needs refurbishment. So I think I'll end up just spamming the seated leg curl that they have there, which I don't have any problem with. I love leg curls. My approach with hamstrings is very similar to quads. It's like almost the simpler the better. Leg curls, love it for hamstrings. Leg extensions, love it for quads. But that second part, I'm kind of starting to change my mentality about. So maybe 4 sets of heavy leg curls seated. Maybe some RDLs. Maybe. I'll have to see how I feel. But I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with a solid hamstring day if the only thing I do is sit on that seated leg curl and just spam out set after set until I've done, all 8. Because by then I'll feel, fucking fatigued. Hamstrings are pumped up. That's what I'm aiming for, right? And after that, no matter what I start with for quads, even if it is leg extensions or squats or whatever, I'll always go to the leg extension just to get warm first. Because, it's like physically, muscularly, like I could probably squat pretty heavy without a warm up, but my knees would just kind of be like on fire. So, light single leg stuff, going back and forth, couple of reps, gradually increasing the weight, just warming up my whole little patella, all the other tendons that are going on in my knees, just makes me feel better on my first actual working sets. So, I might start with leg extensions. I definitely want to do some barbell squats, mid quads, once I'm pre-exhausted, so I don't have to go so heavy. There's a pendulum squat here, which I like. I'll probably try to get some of those going too. There's a machine leg press, potentially a leg extension drop set, What I'm saying right now, it's not really like exactly what I'm going to do in terms of exercise selection. I'm just kind of breaking down some of the stuff I have at my disposal. Because I don't know what I'm going to do until I'm actually in the scenario, in the gym. Once I've already finished hamstrings and I see how I feel, that's when I really kind of decide what I should do. Because, if for whatever reason one day squats just don't agree with me, maybe my hip feels kind of weird or my back hurts, or kind of rare, but sometimes if you ever fuck up your shoulder, like your rotator cuff, I've messed it up pretty decently before. Never surgery level, but like even the action of getting under a bar for squats was like, no, I gotta take a break for a while. If that's you, this is a little bit of a total tangent. You gotta see if your gym has a safety squat bar where it's just the pads and you get to hold on to the handles in front of you. Very good alternative. That's what I was doing when I kind of messed up my shoulder last, which was I don't know. It was a while ago. I've been pretty good. Probably from all the rotator cuff warm-ups that I've been doing. So, let's think about what else is supposed to go down. Yeah, nothing. I'm definitely going to do some calves at the end. Plus, I need to do more direct adductor work. So, adductors, not to be confused with abductors. You know, that's the machine where you're squeezing your legs together. Versus the one where you spread them apart, where you're trying to, you know, get a bigger booty. Not really a machine I'm interested in, but, you know, perhaps if you're part of the 3% female viewership watching this, then that's you. You know, good on you. But for me, the adductor machine where you're squeezing your legs together, for one thing, I just think that that movement is awesome for stability. Like, I feel very sturdy squatting when I've been doing my adductors for a while, and just having them be, you know, more developed just kind of makes me less prone to wobbling or whatever else. I should do it more because my left adductor, it's not pulled, but it's like slightly tweaked. I need to, you know, toughen up that little area. If I squat too heavy, it kind of fucks with me. But, you know, just by adding the adductor machine at the end of your lift, I think if you've never done it before, over the course of weeks, if you still squat and leg press and stuff like that, you should begin to notice a difference. I would hope, at least. And when I do adductors, it's not really a balls to the wall set. Like, I'm not like getting amped up or putting on a hype song for my adductor sets. You know, I just kind of throw the whole stack on. 10 reps, really kind of burn out. Because it's not very hard to reach failure. Like, I can kind of get to a point where it just doesn't want to move anymore. Then I rack it, watch 10 TikToks. All right, it's been a minute, let's do another one. You know, any stimulation of a muscle is better than none. So if you, this is a total cope style situation. But if you're going to skip calves completely, I mean, if that's your alternative, like if you don't want to do a dedicated calf workout, I mean, you know, maybe just sit on the freaking calf raise for a couple sets. You don't even have to go crazy. But just, you know, like I was just saying, any calf stimulation, any muscular stimulation is better than none. But really, that's stupid. You should just be, you know, hitting everything nice and hard. I kind of sound like a chump for saying that I'm going easy on them. So I still make sure they're good sets. But, you know, if the main lift, if the main muscle groups of this lift are hamstrings and quads, you know, adductors are kind of the side dish. And I do... I'll get some calves going as well. I need to get back on my daily calf routine. I kind of slack off on calves sometimes. I'll go on like a calf hiatus. And it's not like my calves are small, so I'm not totally screwed in the calf department. But I do want some freaking, you know, big drumsticks below my knees. So post lift, 8 sets of heavy calves. That'll do you good. So enough talking about it, enough freaking teasing it. What am I even saying? We're about to go do it. So let's just get in there for that first set of hamstrings, whatever that ends up being. Okay, so I played around on the laying hamstring curl while I waited for the seated hamstring curl to open up. But, you know, even though I warmed up on a completely different machine, I'm still ready now to throw, you know, a ton of weight around, because I'm just activating the same, you know, freaking muscle. I was still warming up my hamstrings, right? This whole little curling motion on the laying curl. You know, of course I did a couple feeler reps still, but, you know, hamstrings are warm, calves are warm. Did a little bit of a warm up on the calf machine. So for as long as it feels good, I'm just going to sit here and throw the stack around for as many times as possible and fucking just try to push it to the point where I can barely move it once I'm doing partials. So I'm not necessarily going for max number of reps per se, because for the first couple reps when I'm extra strong, I'm gonna get an extra moment of squeezing at the bottom. Like, imagine this is my leg doing the hamstring curl. I'll curl, and once I get to this bottom portion, I'm gonna have an extra little moment of intentional, like, contracting of my fucking hamstrings. But once I get weaker, I'm not really being able to get that contraction. I'm just trying to move the weight. So I think pushing it to that level of fatigueness isn't the worst way to do it. I definitely think that that's a solid cue for you to end your set. Because if you end it for no reason, like when people talk about, you know, RPE 5 or doing like a 3 reps in reserve set, I don't know, man. I think just fucking push it as hard as you can, as long as you can. But whatever. Let's just get hyped up for these. Okay. I think I might just do that 7 more times. I'm feeling pretty freaking good right now. So let's bust these out, man. Three more. I don't remember where I saw it, but doing these like bent over and just like trying to choke hold the machine, I don't know, it just makes me feel way stronger, and I can just flex my hamstrings more. You know, worth trying. If you've only ever done them like this, you know, maybe try some shit where you get a fucking rear naked choke on the machine. But hamstrings is starting off fucking 10 out of 10. This is perfect. So let's just maintain this degree of intensity for quads. And before I know it, I'll get to sit down in the car and say, oh yeah, that was a good one. Okay. All right, I am perfectly satisfied with hamstrings. I can say with certainty, and while also being like truthful to myself, that I know I pushed it pretty hard on all of those sets. So now, the hard part for me is quads. Quads is a bit more taxing, not just physically, but also kind of mentally, because a set of squats, the uncomfortability factor is much higher. Like for me, for whatever reason, I'm very comfortable taking a set of hamstring curls to absolute failure. Like it's not really even a challenge to get to the point where I can barely even move the weight. But leg presses and squats and pendulum squats, leg extensions, I'm pretty good at it. But those movements, I really kind of have to dig deep in a sense, really get hyped up and like be fucking serious to have a good set. So I'm gonna warm up on the leg extension and then we'll get the real part of this leg day started. This is a leg extension where I can actually like smack some plates on the side of the stack and make it heavier. Usually if I couldn't do that, then I'd want to start off with like some single leg sets, just so that, you know, I could actually go as heavy as I want to. Because you got to think, if you can do the stack for, you know, more reps than you would like to for a working set with both legs at once, then you could get more weight at your disposal just by doing one leg at a time. But it ends up taking a little bit longer. It's kind of time intensive. So if I got the ability to slap 2 plates on the side of the leg extension, what do you think I'm going to do? So I think 2 sets here, and then I'll see how I feel. And then some pre-exhausted squats are going to be thrown in. We'll have to see how the workout progresses. Okay, that might be a little too much weight. Let's throw a plate off and do one more. Okay. Quads are opening with a good start. Let's do some freaking squats, goddammit. Whew. Oh yeah, that was exactly what I fucking wanted out of that set. I'm feeling very lightheaded, but I wanted to push myself to actual fucking failure. Actually, gotta sit here just a moment. Oh my God. Okay. Let's do that at least one more time. Fuck. Oh shit. Ugh. Come on. Ah. Oh, fuck. Ah. Oh. Oh. I started to fall forward a little bit on that second to last one. I'm glad I saved it though. Jesus, dude. I've been babying my quad workouts. Squats are where it's fucking at. We got at least 2 more with 4 plates. Shit. Okay. Let's do one more. Then go finish on leg extensions and be done. Shit. Usually I wouldn't want to do a set less than 8 reps, but I'm still satisfied with that. Oh, Jesus. 4 sets of leg extensions, and then the pump check, and then adductors and calves. But I think the hardest part is over. Still gotta make sure I fucking kill it on the next few sets though. Yeah, this was good. I need to do it like this more often. All I've got to do now is some double leg extensions, same as normal. Whole stack, just fucking burnouts of shit. And then quads will be complete. Let's go check this freaking leg pump before we come back for what I would kind of describe more so accessory style work. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Shit. Okay. Let's turn down the exposure a touch and then see what we're working with. There we go. All right, so last leg day, if you watch the whole thing, you know I kind of said to myself, I didn't fucking go hard enough on those squats. Like the sets of squats that I did last leg day, I know for a fact I called them earlier than I should have. I just wasn't being that intense. So this is kind of the bar that I should be meeting because I'm very satisfied with this leg day. Obviously, it's not over. I've still got adductors and calves, but you know, that's not, the stakes aren't so high with those sets. So with those sets of squats, dude, I'm glad I could push myself like that. And that should be my bar. Like, the most that you can do is the most that you should do, if you kind of understand what I'm saying there. And that doesn't have to necessarily be like, I'll do the poses in a second after I say this little point. That doesn't necessarily have to be like quantitative number-wise. Like, I could still be totally satisfied with this leg day if on those sets of squats, like for a set of 10 or 8 or 12 or whatever I did, if I hit failure at 3 plates versus the 4, I'd still be perfectly satisfied with that, because I'm not a freaking power lifter. You know, like, the weight is cool, but in a bodybuilding context, in a hypertrophy context, it's all about just your intensity. You get what I'm saying? I could see a set of, like, let's say there's 2 bodybuilder style dudes. One huge, one more intermediate, beginner level, right? If I watch that smaller dude do a set of 225, and I can tell for a fact that he pushed it to the max and he hit fucking failure, I am way more impressed by that set, and I'm way more hyped up by that set than the set of, even if a dude did like 6 plates for 2. Like, I mean, obviously it's a feat of strength, but, you know, being conducive to actually making gains, that's all it is. It's just for show. You know, that's why you're never going to catch me do a fucking 1 rep max. For my purposes of fucking growing muscle, it just serves no purpose. So to go hard, no matter how strong, well-rested, hydrated, well-fed you are, you know, for you to just push to the limit regardless of your external circumstances, right? That is what the enlightened lifter is capable of every lift. So, he's on the phone with somebody. No, so even if I'm sick, well, if I'm sick or if I feel like shit, you know, I'm still prone to have a little bit of a lower intensity lift. You know, nobody's fucking perfect. Today I felt really good, so I was perfectly primed to have a really good lift. I kind of set everything up well. Got a ton of sleep, super well hydrated, solid amount of food in my system beforehand, even though I am in a deficit. So, you know, all the boxes were checked. All I had to do was come in and hit it. You know, proper preparation prevents poor pumps. You understand what I'm saying? So in that instance, if you're a little bit of a gym nut and you make it a point to sort of orient your daily schedule around your lift, right, you're going to increase your odds of having a fucking badass lift. You know, if I didn't get jack for sleep, I didn't drink any fucking water or electrolytes like the Silo 9 amino electrolyte mix I was talking about before, or I didn't have a ton of, like, you know, food which I know would make me feel good for training later. You know, I'm just asking to have a shit lift, and I'm asking to make shit progress. So that's enough of my little rant there. You know, none of this is new information. I feel like half the time I say shit, I'm just making like observations. I'm not even really saying my opinions. I'm just kind of like stating facts about stuff. But whatever, let's run through some poses while I'm still pumped. I almost freaking forgot about the pump check. I jumped straight into the fucking lecture. Dude, holy shit. This is a fucking sick pump. The shadows don't really do me justice here, but I can see my hamstring poking out the back. Oh, I'm actually starting to see a little bit of a line in the back right there too. That separation of quad to hamstring. Dude, fucking badass. Let's see, how's this one looking? Yeah, same thing. Dude, this line is pretty fucking cool too, right here. Let's just try to do one more where I really pop some veins out, and then finish any last points I want to discuss. Oh my God. Dude. Left quad just turned into a freaking road map. Very nice. So I'm going to collect myself, and go slam some adductors. All right, legs have been completed, and I'm freaking satisfied. So I was gonna record some of the calf and adductor sets that I was doing. All I did was I sat down and just spammed 8 sets of adductors, where you sit down and you squeeze your legs together, and then 8 sets of calf raises on not the normal calf raise machine, the one with like plates on the end of it. This one is kind of just like a stack loaded thing with a little pad that moves back and forth. I liked it, but one of the guys who came in, one of the workers, he like really turned up the music. So, I didn't want to deal with any kind of copyright, whatever. So just imagine what 8 sets of those calf raises and adductor sets look like. And if you don't want to imagine, just go back to the last video where I showed one of the sets of some calf raises. But, you get the gist. 8, I wasn't going to absolute failure, but, 8 sets, solid amount of weight, enough where I was getting a really good burn at like 15 reps. And then same thing with the adductor machine too. I could tell my first 2 sets, my adductor was kind of tight. Like I could sort of feel a little bit of a twinge. But as I kind of warmed up to it, just bouncing around the whole stack, I definitely got to toughen up those stabilizers for sure. I didn't tweak it on those squats, but I could definitely feel that they were kind of starting to come into play a little bit. Well, a little bit more than I would like. So not that it's bad that they're coming into play, but I need them to be a little bit tougher, right, to be able to handle that. But no, that was a freaking badass leg day. Every set of those hamstring curls, pretty much as hard as I could go on. Like I was saying, it's not very difficult for me to hit failure on the hamstring curls, because I can just, reach a point where I just can't do any more reps, or at least can't really fucking move the arm anymore. Squats, those were good. I probably could have got like another rep or 2, like if I was extra hyped up, I probably could have got maybe 1 or 2 more. But that was definitely up in the range of intensity where I'm satisfied with it. If you could have got 5 more, then, you got to do some fucking reflecting. But in the case of like hitting failure, you're technically capable of doing more. Like if my quads were hooked up with like fucking electrodes and they were controlled by a fucking little electronic thing that would like zap me and contract them, I'm sure they were capable of maybe another rep or 2. But as much effort as I could bring to the table on them, at least the ones where I actually hit failure, that was about as much as I could do. So that's how I should be doing it. I think I definitely get some strength gains out of the way that I have been squatting. I haven't done it for a little while, so if you haven't watched any of the spring bulk videos, then you wouldn't really see it too often. But my approach to quads was basically 1 crazy set of squats after a good warm-up. Like I would do a plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, 4 plates, like 2 or 3 reps each. And then I would do 1 set of like, I was getting up in the 500s for like 10, 12, around there, and then re-rack it, and that was it for squats. Which, definitely, contributed to some growth, I'm certain, plus some strength. But I think doing, that force, like, for me to do a leg day of like that set of squats and then the rest of leg extensions, compared to what I just did, 2 leg extensions, kind of priming my quads, then 4 sets of 4 plates, even though it's a little bit lighter, I think doing that much volume with the pressing is going to do me good. I think if I'm going to implement this style of quad training for this bulk, and I'm pretty excited to see if I get a little bit of extra gains in the quads than I have before, because I think I've been slacking on pressing stimulation for quads. It's not very hard for me to just do a leg day where it's almost all leg extensions, because I get a really crazy pump, I feel fatigued, I move a lot of weight around, and my quads are still sore. So I don't think I've been doing it wrong, but I think I've been lacking on the pressing for quads. So I'm excited to see if that'll thicken up my legs as this bulk will begin to progress. Obviously, it hasn't started yet. So definitely, it was definitely freaking hard doing those sets of squats back to back. I was almost like, I kind of felt like a little bit of a chump, but I was kind of getting ready to fucking lay down on the floor to catch my breath, just because sitting down on the little exercise block or the wooden block I was sitting on between sets, I could kind of tell my lower back was just like burning. I was kind of starting to get a little bit of a lower back pump, but I didn't want to lay down on the fucking floor. I didn't push myself lay down on the floor to recover level. I didn't push myself that hard, but in between sets, dude, I'm taking a seat to catch my breath, especially on a leg day. You know, I kind of felt like a fucking power lifter when I was doing those sets of hamstring curls. I dragged a chair over from like kind of the living room section of the gym, like the lobby basically, right next to the hamstring curl, just so I could take a seat and relax between sets. Oh fuck! I felt a sneeze coming on. So, plan now. I've got 1,000 calories left. Dude, it is so fucking late. The leg day itself kind of took a while. I think I was in there, including the adductors and calves. I was in there like 2 hours after kind of a warm up too of like so, plus like an hour of talking at the end. Yeah, I've been in there for quite some time. So I think I'll just do one big meal, then go to bed feeling full. That'll be nice. You know, these full day of eating videos are a lot easier when I'm dieting down, just because there's not so much food to to record. It's just not so much freaking volume. But don't worry, I'll definitely show off whatever is getting thrown down my gullet once I start getting up into the 5,000-6,000 calorie range. Don't you freaking worry. So, cardio in the morning, as always, ideally, as freaking always, and then chest and side delts, plus calves. Going for some. Well, I'll see how they feel. I'll see how they freaking feel with calves. I want to train them as frequently as possible. With and basically my judge of whether or not I'm going to throw calves in at the end of a workout or save them for the day after is if they're still sore. Because for the most part, your calves are a pretty resilient muscle, right? This is kind of bro science logic, but it's still legit. You're walking around on your freaking calves all day, right? They're used to, being worked. So I think, I could do that whole little calf workout I just did, or I just did calves yesterday, like heavy on that calf raise machine, 5 and 6 plate sets for like 10. And I still didn't feel sore today. I think that they're going to benefit pretty strongly from frequent to potentially daily stimulation. So, end of your workout, you're not in a rush. Go pop a squat on the calf machine, do a couple of sets, man. You'll get something out of it for sure. Definitely more so if you just skip calves entirely. Come on. And having big calves, or at least having calves that are proportionate, just makes your legs look cool. Just makes your freaking leg look cool. So that's pretty much all I got to say for the car talk. I mean, good lift. Now all we got to do is get home and see what this final meal is going to be. I only had freaking 3 today. Reasonably spread out, so that doesn't bother me. I'm not in an insane deficit. Like, I'm not show ready level. I'm not worried about having like a perfectly spread out like influx of proteins, because I'm not worried about like going catabolic. So if I'm cutting down, I don't mind doing like kind of just a 3-meal day. Yeah, holy shit. Just a fucking, basically a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, whatever. But when I start bulking up, if I'm doing, 5,500 calories for the whole day, I want to spread it out a little bit more. I don't want to do like a 2,000 calorie breakfast and a 2,000 calorie lunch and a 2,000 calorie dinner. Like, 2,000 calories on a plate is not nothing. That's a considerable chunk of food for just the average Joe, I mean, looking at the FDA's like caloric recommendation, like 2,000 calories is the amount of food a fucking normal dude eats in a day to maintain his weight. At least, you know, of a normal like weight, like I don't know, maybe a buck 50 or something. So to eat all that in just 3 meals, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you want to do that? So it's gonna be easier for me to get in all my food if I spread it out. So maybe I'll try to eat a big breakfast, maybe 1,500 calories, something, and then 800 calorie meals throughout the day. Cool. Not that I really do like specifically planned meals. Like I don't really meal prep per se, just because I have access to my kitchen pretty consistently throughout the day. Even when I have a lot of classes, like tomorrow I've got class from 8:30 to 4, but I've got like hour and a half breaks in between, so I can just ride the bike back to the house, make some food, then go off to do whatever I got to do. Now, one of my classes I do have a little bit of a not that long of a break. I've only got like 45 minutes. So I don't really want to come back to the house. I won't really have time to really make a meal and then go back to my next class. So if you're gone for a substantial amount of time, I'd say more important if you're bulking, just trying to get a steady intake of food. If you're away from your kitchen for more than, yeah, I'd kind of, I'm not one to say like you need to eat every 2 hours to grow, but I wouldn't want to go more than 5 hours without eating on a bulk. Actually, I probably wouldn't want to go more than 3 hours without eating on a bulk, just because that's going to make me have to eat a lot of food later in the day. So if you've got like, yeah, I'd say if you're gone for longer than 3 hours, you're going to have to prep some shit. It's not that hard. I mean, get some Tupperware containers, buy some Ben's, I forget the brand, whatever, just like some instant rice packs, cook some beef, chicken, pork, whatever your, meat of choice is. You can have freaking 50 grams of steak, 120 grams of rice, well, 120 grams of carbs worth of rice in a little Tupperware thing, and it'll only take you like 10 minutes to prep that. So, no matter how you go about it, as long as you stay in a calorie surplus, you're going to end up gaining weight. Inversely to that, you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. In a lifting context, losing weight means losing body fat. Gaining weight means gaining muscle along with a touch of fat. You kind of can't avoid it. So if you think you're bulking, or if you think you're cutting, but your weight isn't changing and visually you're not seeing any differences over the course of weeks, then you're doing something wrong, man. You got to readjust. You got to actually start tracking your shit on a food scale. Bust out like a macro tracking app. I use the stupid simple macro tracker. I'm not saying that's the best one. That's just the one I end up using because it's stupid simple. So let's just get back to the crib, shower off, put some pajamas on, see what this last meal is, and then go to bed. All right, so now this is not the post-workout meal, even though it is the post-workout meal. So I don't know what I was thinking. I just did not record myself when I ate last night. But I just recreated the same thing. Oh, close enough a little. So 75 grams of protein worth of egg whites, 2 slices of American cheese, right? 9 grams of fat total, 4 protein, 2 carbs. Another 8 or 9 grams of carbs worth of sugar-free barbecue sauce. And then some chopped salad just to kind of give it some body or whatever. And then for carbs, I had 2 packs of Ben's original microwavable rice. So I kind of ended up saving all my carbs for before bed. So right now I feel pretty freaking full. I got to sleep in again today. So I don't usually do well, if I'm responsible and I wake up early, I usually do my cardio fasted and then I come back and eat. But I was kind of freaking hungry, so I'll eat this little egg salad, barbecue sauce, cheese concoction first, and then go get my cardio going. So the final calories for last night, I went a little overboard. 2,718. I was kind of aiming for 25, but when I had those 2 packs of rice, it kind of sent me over. You know, I say I've been aiming for 2,500, but really I've been floating around like, 28, 3,000 sometimes. You know, I'm not in a massively steep deficit just because I don't have like the goal isn't necessarily to get shredded. You know, like I was saying beforehand, I am dieting to, lose body fat, but it's not for a show. The whole point is I'm just sort of resensitizing my system so that, in a couple of days, once I start this next bulk, I'll be, hungry for as much food as I'm going to want to eat. And, you know, just the process of bulking and cutting, in the bulk, you're going to be a bit softer. So at the end of it, if I'm done bulking, I've kind of plateaued my weight, I've maxed out whatever, I'm kind of a little bit extra soft. So what's the point of just repeating a bulk if you're just maintaining the same kind of weight, whatever? I guess if you really make sure you hit your surplus forever, and if you're bulking and your weight is still going up, then yeah, keep doing it. But for me, I bulked for like 4 or 5 months. I ended up kind of plateauing at like a new record high weight. And then I got to cut down for 2 months and just repeat the process. So that's pretty much the logic there for anyone curious about that. I feel like I've talked about it before, but I mean, there's so many videos. It probably gets lost in the woodworks. So for me now, today, so last night this was dinner, and today this is breakfast. So I'm going to go do my 30 minutes of cardio, come back, probably eat some more. Actually, I'll probably eat this pack of rice, and then got a couple of classes and chest and shoulders, which you'll see tomorrow. So that'll be a good lift. I'm 98% certain it's going to be sick. So I'll freaking see you next time.